in the new year with Coffee with Shanda. Welcome, you guys. My voice is a little shot. I have no idea why. I have had an amazing month off with my family. We went skiing in Utah. I worked the last week just on refining my plan for 2020, and getting lots of input and help. And I'm just really excited and feeling refreshed and 2019, 2020. So good morning, good morning, good morning, you guys who are coming on with me. Thank you for jumping on. Karina, hi. Say hi. I would love to see who you are who's jumping on, other than just the little number going up on the side of the screen. Okay, so I wanted to start with a topic that I think is empowering, but also, you know me, you guys who have been following me for a while. I like to just get to the point. I like to jump in and just get to the point. And I've gotten so many messages, which I know sounds like I'm just saying that, but it's actually true. Even this morning, I had two messages, from clients that people were either quitting on them or they needed to let somebody go. And so I want to jump into this topic. Like, are you working with the right people? Are you working with the right coach? Are you working with, and that might be me, you might be coaching with me. Are you working with the right coach? Are you, for you, are you hiring the right people? And what I want to say about that is standard. What is your standard? Are you working with people that you are, lowering your standard because somehow you think you need to change to be able to work with a team? I hear this a lot. My clients, excuse me, my voice. My clients will say to me, like, a lot of our clients hire virtual assistants. And I will tell you, the virtual assistant world out there is, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but it's very true. We literally opened up a virtual assistant and project management company called Hardcore Works because of the fact that there are so many people who are virtual assistants. There's actually a lot that hang out around our community that say that they're endorsed by Hardcore, and they're not, just because they've worked with our clients or our clients have passed them around. I just saw a very popular virtual assistant who had been passed around through our community, has some raving reviews and has a ton of unraving reviews, where some of my clients are getting hit with $10,000, $12,000 bills, and their sites are being held hostage. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that person is not endorsed by me. As I digress, my point in sharing that with you is the virtual assistant world is not by nature a really great work ethic world. Okay, so I'm just going to use that as an example, the virtual assistant world. Many of my clients work with virtual assistants, and they actually feel like the virtual assistant is doing them a favor. Now, let me share something with you. Everybody who's on your team, you're not doing them a favor, and they're not doing you a favor. You got to get out of your head that because you're paying somebody that they owe you something. And at the same time, if you're the flip side, you also have to get it out of your head that if you're hired somebody, that you got to walk on eggshells because you don't want them to quit on you or something like that. My experience over the years and coaching so many people at this point, your standard matters. And so everybody has a different standard. Like, I looked at how I was as a CEO last year, and I think I did some things really good, and I think I did other things really poorly. And so I really got my shit together for this year. And I put in a lot of effort and a lot of time over the last month that I've had off, just refining and just talking to myself about, like, what is the standard, Shanda, that you're going to hold in 2020 as a CEO? And by the way, I'm not even talking about my team yet. I'm talking about myself. Like, first you have to look at what is your own standard. How are you letting yourself down, or maybe like overachieving, like you're setting goals and aspirations that are impossible, or they're impossible based on the resources you have right now. And so look at how you're managing first your own mind. We opened up a membership, Pocket Coaching, last year to help entrepreneurs manage their own mind, because you feel shocked when people quit on you. I just got a message this morning. I feel shocked. My sales girl quit. I'm like, don't feel shocked. I had a VP of sales quit on me twice last year. First time it was a big deal on why the person quit. It was something very, very personal that was devastating. And I let the quit be okay and rehired this person back. And then they quit again, like that, on a text message. And it was tempting to still bring them back again because they're so good at what they do. Is there a situation in your life right now where there's somebody that's so good at what they do that you're afraid to let them go? Or maybe you're sitting back and you've got great opportunity in your space, but you're not showing up the way that you need to show up to optimize that opportunity in your space. So for instance, I have an extraordinary team at Hardcore Business, an extraordinary team. The leaders inside this company are not only ambitious and driven, but they truly care. I mean, there are many people who have gotten behind the movement, and it's not just my movement, it's their movement. And together we're standing shoulder to shoulder to build something amazing. Just like them, I also took pay cuts last year to be able to grow the company. It wasn't just them. There were people in the company who took pay cuts to be able to grow the company. And there's people who want pay raises when there's people inside the company who still have taken massive pay cuts to be able to move the movement forward. What is your standard? Are you working with people around you that you are working as a team? Or are you entitled, or are people around you entitled? I'm throwing things out there to challenge you in the way that you think, because your team matters. There's a group inside of our community that are BAF players. That's called Bring a Friend players. And they take a stand for the community, and they bring friends to our zone event. And they get huge discount client tickets to be able to do this. But they actually create a culture inside of Hardcore that is a culture that is so strong and unbreakable of friends and community and givers. Without them, there wouldn't be the culture that there is inside of Hardcore. Why am I sharing this with you? Last year, there was a group that came together called Team Prosperity, a group of clients grouped together. And in literally 24, 48 hours, they had brought in 80 people to the zone event. 80. They prepared for a couple weeks before we opened the doors for them to be able to bring friends to the event. And it was amazing. It was such an eye-opener to me what a great team can really do. And I want it to be an eye-opener for you as well. That the year before, it took 2.5 weeks for a team of people to bring 80 people, 80 friends, to take a stand for 80 friends to come to the zone event. Let's even stop for a second, to even stop what you're doing in your own life to look up to help people to bring them to the event. I mean, that's extraordinary human beings. That's like Martin Luther King people. You know what I mean? That's like the most generous person in your life that you would do anything for. Like, that's this group of people. So the year before, in 2018, it was 2.5 weeks before 80 people came in the door. Follow me here. Last year, it was just under 48 hours. 48 hours, okay? I sat there looking, going, that team is an A team. And I've never been able to get them out of my mind because they made that much of an impact on me about how important it is to not pull people along on your team. It's also so important that you are not dragging yourself along and only giving half-assed of what you can actually give. So I want you to look at your calendar in 2020. Forget the calendar. Look at the first quarter and ask yourself, do you have an A team? And if you have a B team, stop telling yourself that you must have that B team to be able to create the results. Because a B team does not mean that they suck. It does not mean that they're not great. It just means that either they're not emotionally available, they're not driven the same way you are, the standards are not the same, or they're in the wrong place, or it's the wrong timing for them. Any of those 5 things could mean that the person, it's not the right fit. It becomes a B team versus an A team. You can have an all-star player that their head's not right. And if their head's not right, they now have become a B player. A B player. All the talent in the world can become a B player because their head's not right. This is why we do pocket coaching memberships on managing your mind, right? So you gotta be the person who analyzes this. You really do, because here's what I know for sure. Your coach doesn't know these people in your life. Here's what I know for sure. Maybe your spouses or your boyfriends or girlfriends or good friends do, but you have a gut instinct on it. Now, let me analyze the gut instinct and we'll end on this. Your gut instinct, you have to be careful that your gut instinct is not something that gets you off the hook. There are many times we want to bail on a plan, a commitment, a relationship because we are actually not right in our own heads. For instance, it would be really easy for you to back off even a relationship with your coach. My coach isn't strong enough. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Have you showed up prepared for every coaching session and given the relationship the best opportunity to succeed? I can take that same game plan and put it over a love relationship. You know, and I know, it's very easy to get caught up in your own head and think, should I really be in this relationship? So whether it's a coaching relationship or a personal relationship, it's really easy to cast blame in the other direction and back off a commitment and say it's not in alignment. I have seen more, I shouldn't say average people, I've seen more people living an average life continue to live an average life because they analyze information from that viewpoint. My question, my friends, are, how are you responsible for pushing something forward? Because I'm going to tell you, even if I have an average coach, I get extraordinary results. And I get extraordinary results because I come to the coaching session knowing what is my coach really good at, and I optimize that to move it forward. In other words, I can turn lemons into lemonade on anything, right? And so look at your situation and first analyze you. Are you coming to the table with the best game? Are you prepped and ready to win? If you're not, then you better not be looking over there. First, look at yourself. I've also seen more people think that their virtual assistants suck when the truth is you are so unorganized that every time you get on a phone call, you're in another version of inspiration or pissed offness. So you can't run like that. You got to have one plan for the quarter. What are your deliverables for the quarter? What are the 1 or 3 things that you're going to get done this quarter of 2020? And that's it. Nothing else hits the mark. You don't put anything else on the calendar. You don't allow any moments of inspiration. That becomes the roadmap that you hit no matter what. And anybody who's working with you is committed to that plan too. And you better make sure they're committed. If they're not, you better flesh that out. Why are they not committed? Do the work to get the team in alignment. Because if you can get an A team rocking, I'm telling you, you can create results that took you a year to create in 1 quarter. But the pressure is on you. The pressure lays on your shoulders to be the type of leader and not wait for leaders to come into your place to push the ball forward. You have to lead from the top. So look at who's behind you, look at who's beside you, and look at who's in front of you. And does your team represent an A team? If not, write down why, and then write down what would solve that problem. Write down why it's not an A team and what would solve that problem. I would recommend a deliverable for this week would literally be for this week or the next 2 days. Clear your calendar and literally look at what would solve that problem and become obsessed with solving that problem. Otherwise, you are driving down the road with a flat tire. And that is going to be a frustrating 2020. All right, you guys, hopefully my voice is going to be back tomorrow and better. God bless you. Here's to a freaking great week. Tomorrow, I have got Amy Lacey on with me. We tried to get her on last year. She is who started Cauliflower Pizza. Great story, great inspiration of an entrepreneur that had no money. In fact, went $250,000 in debt. Okay, so I don't know what your debt ratio looks like. I don't know what your finances look like. But I would pay attention to how her wheels are turning. Because she went from $250,000 in debt to well into the millions, to well into the multiple millions, 8 figures. And it's transformed her life and her family and brought another baggage of challenges. But the challenges she overcame to get her company to where it is today are the same challenges that you can work with your relationships, with your business, with what we're talking about today. My goodness, my throat. It's like I have a frog there that I can't get out. So be on Coffee with Shanda tomorrow morning and bring friends with you. All right, you guys, comment what you heard me say. What are you going to do from this live? I would love to hear what landed for you. Talk to you tomorrow morning.